Let's get back to the conversation of flipping, which there have been a couple that have left Notre Dame, but more positives on the flip side for the Irish in this recruiting cycle with Marcus Freeman. Let's go back to December 1st, if you don't mind, since we haven't talked last week. I was on vacation. Caleb Smith, a wide receiver from Texas, flipped from Texas Tech to the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. So, Mike, the Irish have 4 wide receivers in this class of 2023, Caleb Smith, Braylon James, Jaden Greathouse, and Rico Flores Jr. If you don't mind, just offer a thought on the fact that the Irish added a 4th wide receiver. They wanted this guy, Caleb Smith, a part of this class.
Yeah, pretty high upside, slot receiver, could play outside, good in punt return, kick return, speed. Believe he ran a 4.49 at Baylor over the summer. Committed to Texas Tech early and just kind of flew under the radar, and pretty productive senior year. He's only announced 2 offers in total from Notre Dame to Texas Tech, so not a headline name, but again, productive and big time ball in the state of Texas. If you're talking about him being your number 1 receiver in the class, maybe that's not something to get too excited about. But Darren, you just listed that. That's a great group of 4. I mean, yeah. Caleb Smith is a darn good receiver, and Notre Dame's able to go get him, and with relative ease. You absolutely, you love to see this if you're a Notre Dame fan. 4 receivers. Remember last cycle before, it's Notre Dame just needs more receivers. We're not talking about that. When Notre Dame hired Chancey Stuckey, really, Chancey Stuckey, he's got like 1 year of experience. What are we doing? Dude's balling. It's a great receiver class. So, yeah, you love to see it.
Mike, considering where we were a year ago at this time, the Irish thought they had 3 commitments. They ended up with 1 at the wide receiver position. Had I told you on this date a year ago that the next recruiting cycle will have 4 players like this, would this be what you would say, just what the doctor ordered?
No, because the doctor probably didn't order a miracle. I mean, seriously, Darren, look at this group of 4. Go back 10, 20 years, and just on paper with recruiting rankings, this has got to be up there with one of the best, okay. Right?
On paper,
I mean, come on. Jaden Greathouse, seriously, might be one of the most productive wide receivers ever in Texas. Ever. He's probably about to win his 4th straight state title. He's lost 1 game. And he's setting all sorts of records at Austin Westlake, one of the best programs, in the state. Rico Flores, highly productive. Braylon James, productive and high ceiling. I mean, it's such a good receiver class. So kudos to Freeman Reese, Stuckey, Notre Dame staff. Cross your fingers, 2 weeks that all these guys sign. I don't have any concern about any of them flipping, but again, it's recruiting. You never know, but so you always have to throw in that caveat. But yeah, really good receiver class, something that we're not talking about enough.
And the other flip that we have not had a chance to talk about is an offensive lineman who was in Wisconsin's class, but due to the coaching changes, I think Chris Tarek was open for new ideas, and Notre Dame had offered him, a month or so in advance of him eventually flipping to the Fighting Irish. So I guess, is it fair to say that this opportunity for Tarek actually kind of opened up because Elijah Page flipped from Notre Dame to USC? Did that allow?
That's exactly what happened, Darren. Yeah, they had 5 offensive line committed. Page flips. They offered Tarek. He's happy with Wisconsin, also loves Notre Dame. And Notre Dame offered him, and Wisconsin had already fired Paul Christ, but Jim Leonard, thought he was probably going to get the job, and their offensive line coach would have stayed. So Tarek was really considering sticking with Wisconsin, but there's Notre Dame. Like, what do I do here? And then, Wisconsin hires, Luke Fickell, and same day, it's not a coincidence, folks, that he flips to Notre Dame. So rather easy decision for him in the end after that news, whereas it would have been really tough call, with probably 50-50 is what my sources said about him flipping to Notre Dame or stick with Wisconsin. Do what I mentioned, Darren, quite the list of flips to Notre Dame and decommits from Notre Dame this cycle. Kenny Minchie, your quarterback, Dylan Edwards, he was a Kansas State running back commit. Boubacar Traore, defensive lineman, was committed to Boston College. Talked about Caleb Smith and Chris Tarek. And Armel Mukam, the defensive lineman, was committed to Stanford. That's 6. I'm pretty sure the 2021 class had 6. So you're just one away from breaking that record. And then Notre Dame's had 4 players decommit. You had Cedric Irvin Jr., the running backs. Now it's committed to Stanford. Keon Keeley, 5-star Viper, uncommitted. Probably going to end up at Alabama or Ohio State. Elijah Page, we just talked about, offensive lineman, flipped to USC. And Justin Rhett flipped to Georgia. I think that's everybody. Might be forgetting one. But like I said, aggressive with Notre Dame, flipping players. And hey, if you got to process a guy or two, you got to process a guy or two. It happens. It's this is a business at the end of the day. So yeah, it's fascinating right now, Darren.
So based on those numbers you just offered our listeners, outside of Keeley, which you can't replace Keon Keeley more than likely in the class, Notre Dame has covered the losses by adding on personnel later on in the process. So pretty much job well done considering those losses.
Well, Irvin decommits. Notre Dame has 3 running backs committed right now, all higher ranked than Irvin. Page, filled that spot. And Rhett, I mean, yeah, they've got 5 defensive backs committed, and they might go get a 6th. And Solomon Davis, who just announced he was decommitting from Arizona. Mike Mickens, Notre Dame's cornerbacks coach, saw him on Sunday for a home visit. Wow. Notre Dame hasn't offered Davis yet, but they're looking at hosting him next weekend for an official. So, like I said, Darren, it's so busy right now. My phone, like I have to continue to check it every couple seconds because it's, I mean, just. Darren, you could not count the number of players that have hit the portal. You can't count that. It's been crazy. I'm not saying you're not a smart guy, Darren, but seriously, it's been a lot of players in the portal.
So, folks, basically what Mike is saying is Notre Dame losing Brian Kelly and adding Marcus Freeman means he has watched a whole lot less soccer this month compared to a year ago at this time, right?
Yeah. I've been trying to watch as much World Cup as I can, but it's been so busy, Taryn. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, let's tie it all together. You gave us a lot of information, but that's just a small sample of all the things that are happening right now, and you've got it covered at blueandgold.com.
Yeah, I mean, I love our staff at Blue and Gold because I think we have a great blend of we're hard-hitting journalists, but also we want to make things fun. Our loose emoji board, rest in peace to the GOAT, it's our internet sports bar. Like I want to not only give you guys the information, but I also want to be a member of the community. So you post threads, ask me what's going on, whether it's recruiting or let's talk about Taco Bell, like kind of anything. So we got it's a fun group of staff members at Blue and Gold and thousands of Notre Dame fans talking about, what's going on in college football, and you got all sorts of off-topic information. It's just a great community of Notre Dame fans, and certainly blessed to have my job cover Notre Dame football recruiting as much as I don't love it this month because of how busy it is.